Let's talk about extended constructed responses. You might hear teachers call them ECRs. The max score you can get is 5 points. So you could get up to 3 points for your thesis, organization, evidence, clarity, all that business, and up to 2 points for punctuation, grammar, and all of those details. So 3 plus 2 equals 5. To help us with this, we're going to use TEDL. TEDL stands for topic sentence, example sentence, detail sentence or section, and link to the topic sentence. You can also think of this as your last sentence. So we could say last or linking sentence. You can use this on really any written assignment in any of your classes. If you're working on an essay right now, I highly recommend you use this to help with your planning and constructing your paragraphs. But this can work along with this model here, which you might recognize as the 4-square model if you've had a teacher show you this in the past. And here you'll see an outline for a full essay. You've got hook, bridge, thesis in the box right up here at the top. And then you've got 2 squares with TEDL, and then a final square with restate thesis, final thought, call to action. So we've got an introduction paragraph, 2 body paragraphs, and a conclusion paragraph in this chart. You'll see I've replaced hook and bridge with summary 1 and summary 2. Now, when you sit down to take your STAAR test, you are going to be given a blank scratch piece of paper. So if you like this lesson and you want to use this chart, you can take a piece of paper and you can fold it up into a square. You just copy it straight like that. You'll also have a place to type. You see here, I've got it laid out for you. It works just the same. It's just a way to organize your thoughts. So in the STAAR, you're going to be given something to read before you write. The room was quiet and dark. The uneven rhythm of green light drew my attention to the table. Watching the lightning bugs, I stepped closer. The wildflower book was lying open beside the jar. In the glow from the yard light outside, I sat down to read the spidery writing. When did the fireflies stop dancing? I read the title, then looked at the lightning bugs, twinkling as if to a melody I could not hear. I thought of Grandma's face as she watched them, with Joshua, her eyes bright like his, mesmerized, thoughtful as if she, like Joshua, were trying to figure out the secrets of the world. When did the fireflies stop dancing? I read again, then plunged into the story as the glow flickered against the paper. I often found moments of silence and solitude as I walked from the barn to the house on that crooked, worn path I had trod 1,000 times. In light or darkness, in the damp hours of morning when my feet went silent through the low mist, I knew each step, each rise and fall of the ground, each scent that drifted on the air, apple blossoms in the spring, honeysuckle in the hot months, curing the hay in the fall. When my bones were not too weary from work done and my thoughts not too frazzled from chores left to do, I stopped there and looked over the valley. The breeze combed my hair from my face like my mother's fingers, whispering of peace, of contentment, of time passing. I looked upon those waving trees or knobbly-legged yearlings in the pasture, or the flowers by the road, and wondered how they grew so tall while my back was to them. Then I turned my back again and hurried on to my tasks. I stopped on the path once in the autumn, on a night when the moon was full, like a fresh cake of butter. Below I saw the farmhouse, saw bits of my life through the windows, heard the faint sounds of my children laughing the way children do, about nothing at all. I smiled as I gazed at the moon. There, in the soft shades of blue and rose, was the celestial face I once knew from my storybooks. I thought of how many times as a girl I stared into that faraway moon and dreamed impossible dreams, wishing for the same treasures I heard my children ask for when I passed their doors at night. I thought of that part of me that once created bigger worlds, and I mourned. Through the trees, the light from a nearby farm twinkled as the leaves shivered apart like a curtain. The flicker brought me in mind of neighbors, and then of fireflies. I looked for them in the field, but the darkness was complete. It seemed only a day ago when I ran with my children, catching the tiny bits of light to make a lantern jar. Now, the grass contained only the whisper of the breeze. How long had they been gone? Days or weeks, I could not say. I suppose they flew away one night as I lingered over mending or soiled tableware or a child's lessons. They flew away while my head was bent to task and took no time to bid goodbye. But I knew they bade farewell to my children. I knew my children saw them fly away like sparks from summer's waning flame. My children mourned their passing, as I once had, and knew, I was sure, the very hour when the last of them stopped dancing. I laid the book on the table and carried the jar outside. In the darkness of the yard, I lifted the lid and promised myself I would remember to look for the fireflies tomorrow night. So once you're finished reading, you're going to be presented a prompt. What does the author's language in paragraph 8 of the excerpt suggest about grandma? Support your answer with evidence from the excerpt. So we know we have to use evidence from the excerpt, and we know that we're focusing on paragraph 8. I smiled as I gazed at the moon. There, in soft shades of blue and rose, was the celestial face I once knew from my storybooks. I thought of how many times as a girl I stared into that faraway moon and dreamed impossible dreams, wishing for the same treasures I heard my children ask for when I passed their doors at night. I thought of that part of me that once created bigger worlds, and I mourned. So we want to tell the reader what Grandma's journal says about her. So right here, what we have is a student response, and this is a perfect score, a score 5, okay? And what I've got highlighted here is the thesis statement. Katie has been reminded that taking a break once in a while from work to look around one's amazing surroundings can be really rewarding as you soak in the relaxing beauty of it all. So this student believes that the author's language in paragraph 8 helps the reader understand that Katie is being reminded by her grandmother's writing that she should take a break every now and then and enjoy life around her. So I have taken this entire response, and just our luck, it fits perfectly into this chart. Okay, the first two sentences, we've got summary 1 and summary 2. This is where they kind of sum up the reading passage. In this excerpt from Tending Roses, Katie visits her grandmother and stumbles upon a peculiar journal. She reads quite a beautiful entry of hers regarding fireflies. Doing so, Katie has been metaphorically called to continue looking for them. But what they are referring to are necessarily just the little lightning bugs of the farm. And then we have the thesis statement, which I read earlier. Katie has been reminded that taking a break once in a while from work to look around one's amazing surroundings can be really rewarding as you soak in the relaxing beauty of it all. Now let's look at the student's paragraphs. From paragraph 5 to 10, Katie's grandmother expresses her sadness of when she missed the firefly's departure from her home. This topic sentence tells us what we're going to focus on in this paragraph. Everything else has to focus on this topic sentence. Now let's read the example. As the creatures left, she awakened to the fact that she had not really appreciated nor noticed them for some time now. The quote, "I suppose they flew away one night as I lingered over mending or soiled tableware or a child's lessons. They flew away while my head was bent to task and took no time to bid goodbye," showcases this sentiment. This sentence could use a little bit of help, the way they've inserted this quote, but the student made a clear attempt to use a quote that fits with their thesis and helps support their thesis and topic sentence. Now let's look at the detail. She was too busy with chores, family, and life in general. So the student is going into just a little bit more depth to let us know that the author wrote this paragraph in a way to show us that the grandmother was too busy, with all of these tasks to really enjoy life. Katie's grandmother had been constantly working so much that she rushed right past the wonders of nature around her. And that last and linking sentence, okay, let's look at the link between the topic sentence and the last sentence. I want you to look at that topic sentence again. In the first sentence, the grandmother missed the fireflies. And in the last or linking sentence, She worked so much that she rushed right past the wonders of nature. There is a clear connection there. There is a link between these two sentences. And if we can do that with our paragraphs, if we can link back to our topic and everything's related to the thesis statement that's in our first paragraph, that's a solid paragraph in our essay or ECR, Extended Constructed Response. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole second paragraph and break it down, but just know that if you use this model to construct your paragraphs and you include everything that you need, then you might have a pretty good shot at getting at least above a 2. This response is not mistake-free. It's just very well thought out, and it's mostly correct. There are very minimal mistakes with spelling, grammar, punctuation, things like that. All right, real quickly, let's look at the restated thesis. When you restate your thesis, you want to say something similar or the same thing that you said in your thesis statement, but with new words. Let's read it. To conclude, Katie is reminded of the importance in dropping responsibilities for a quick second and admire the world as her grandmother's poetic journal entry entails. That is not a perfect sentence, but the reader can tell that the writer here is trying their best to restate the main idea of their thesis statement. When you get to the final thought or call to action section, congratulations, this means you're about done with your essay. And all you really need to do here is leave the reader with something to think about or maybe challenge them, which would be the call to action section. In this example, the reader just left them with a final thought. Let's read it. It is hard to truly live life if they walk by the small unnoticed beauties that make it all up. The little things are those that really bring joy and meaning. Children know that, and one who is older used to as well. So now Katie has seen that she must keep on looking for those fireflies in her life. So I hope that this was helpful. If you're still nervous, I've got another video coming for you that is a little bit shorter, and we'll show you how you can write a shorter response and still get a decent score on the test. All right, have a good one.